Today, we're going to break down a story where the entire plot gets absolutely shattered, not just once, but twice, by two incredible gadgets that can basically rewrite reality. We're going to see how these inventions take the story from a pretty simple theft all the way to an epic, fire-breathing showdown. Alright, so here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with this revolutionary portal poster and all the chaos it unleashes. Then, we'll level up to the even more powerful wishing coin, which you'll see leads to some seriously wild transformations and, believe it or not, a really clever way to trap a dragon.
So our story gets going with this brilliant but maybe a little too trusting inventor, Dr. Totka. He introduces a device that could, and I'm not exaggerating, genuinely change the world.
And you gotta understand, this is not just some piece of paper. Dr. Jotka is so proud of it. He says it's gonna end traffic jams, get rid of travel costs, and save everybody tons of time. It's basically a logistics revolution all rolled up in his simple poster.
You know, the real genius of this thing is just how simple it is. You stick it on a wall, you think about where you want to be, and you just pop out on the other side. 3 easy steps to anywhere on Earth. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, this is what goes wrong. The local villain, John the Don, strolls in pretending he just wants to congratulate the inventor. The quote here basically means, "He gave me a flower and made me a fool." And with that little bit of flattery, he distracts Dr. Jotka, snags the poster, and poof, he's gone. The doc is left standing there, realizing he just got played.
So this one single theft doesn't just lead to one big crime. Oh no, it sets off this hilarious and honestly pretty painful chain reaction of misunderstandings, and it all comes crashing down on our poor hero, Motu.
You know, you'd think with this world-changing technology, John would think big. But at first, he doesn't. He uses it to steal samosas. But because he can appear and disappear in a flash, everyone who sees it happen just blames the closest person they see, which of course is poor, unsuspecting Motu.
And the consequences for Motu are immediate and, well, brutal. First, he gets accused and then beaten up by Boxer for stealing those samosas. Then, he gets blamed by the local tea seller and, yep, gets beaten up again. The whole thing just spirals until Inspector Chingam is accusing him of robbing a bank. It's just a total cascade of false accusations and punches.
So, the heroes finally figure out a way to turn the tables. They know John can't resist a big score, so they set a trap at a diamond exhibition. They use a bunch of portals to confuse him, corner him, and they finally get that poster back, putting an end to the first wave of chaos.
But just when you think everything's back to normal, bam! The story introduces a second object, and this one makes that portal poster look like a complete child's toy. The stakes are about to get so much higher. So say hello to the Ichidari coin, or the wishing coin. This thing isn't about changing where you are, it's about changing what you are. All you have to do is hold it, say what you want to be 3 times, and poof, you transform. And of course, through a classic mix-up, this incredibly powerful artifact ends up right in Motu's pocket.
I mean, this really puts the power jump into perspective, right? We went from a tool that's limited by, geography, to a tool that is limited only by what you can think of. The potential for chaos just went from high to completely infinite. And of course, the second John the Don hears about this coin, the gears start turning in his head. And his weapon of choice to get it? Once again, it's just plain old deception.
John's plan this time is brilliant, but also completely absurd. He shows up disguised as a film producer and offers Motu the lead role in a new movie. But his real goal? He's just trying to trick Motu into using the coin's power so he can see how it works and then, steal it. And the crazy part is, it works perfectly. The producer gives him a really weak line, so Motu tries to improvise. He shouts, "I am a lion," 3 times to sound more heroic. And he turns into one. After he changes back, he does it again, this time with "I am a gorilla." The poor guy thinks he's method acting, but he's really just caught in a magical trap. So after finally tricking Motu and getting his hands on the coin, John's power trip is immediate and, frankly, terrifying. First, he turns into a giant snake to attack everybody. When that doesn't quite work, he decides to stop messing around. He goes straight for the biggest, baddest thing he can think of and becomes a dragon.
So let's just pause here, because the game has completely changed. Our heroes are no longer fighting some petty thief. They are now up against a villain who can become a mythical, fire-breathing beast whenever he wants.
Man, that really is the ultimate question, isn't it? I mean, brute force is totally off the table. You can't just punch a dragon into submission. This kind of problem requires a completely different solution.
Okay, let's look at their plan, because it is brilliant. It's a three-step strategy that has nothing to do with fighting and everything to do with using their brains. They lure the dragon high up into the sky, they trap him in an electric cage that Dr. Jotka built, and then they set up the final psychological checkmate.
In this quote, this is the genius punchline. It means, I am a mosquito, I am a mosquito, I am a mosquito. See, John is trapped in this cage as a huge dragon, and the heroes are just taunting him from the outside. He gets so frustrated and desperate to escape through a tiny gap that he makes one last fatal wish. He starts thinking small.
And just like that, the fight is over. The massive, fire-breathing dragon becomes a tiny, harmless, buzzing insect. The heroes grab the coin, and the great and powerful villain is defeated, not by a bigger force, but by his own short-sightedness. So when we step back and look at the whole picture, you can see this clear pattern emerge from all the chaos. The whole story is pushed forward by these incredible gadgets. Every action creates this clear and usually hilarious chain of consequences. And, most importantly, the ending proves that real victory comes from being smarter, not just stronger.
And all of this leaves us with one final thought to chew on. John the Don had the power to become literally anything in the universe, and he lost because the best he could come up with was a snake, a dragon, and finally, a mosquito. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? When a tool gives you limitless power, is its biggest weakness the limited imagination of the person using it,